The bright morning sun reflected like liquid gold across the polished glass towers of the city, but the loud grinding sound coming from a gleaming orange Lamborghini broke the peaceful atmosphere and turned hundreds of curious heads. The luxury sports car rolled to an embarrassing stop right in front of one of the city's tallest office buildings, where cameras, employees, and business reporters were already waiting for the arrival of billionaire CEO Serafina Vale. She stepped out with confidence, hiding her frustration behind a calm smile as photographers captured every second. Looking at the silent engine, she laughed sarcastically and tossed out a joke that everyone around her found amusing. She declared that whoever could fix her impossible Lamborghini deserved to marry her because no mechanic had ever solved its mysterious problem. The crowd burst into laughter, believing it was nothing more than another playful remark from a successful woman who had everything money could buy. But someone standing far away in a faded blue work shirt heard every word, and unlike everyone else, he didn't laugh. Before we continue this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to the channel, Hardworking Dad, if you believe kindness, hard work, and second chances can truly change a person's life. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more people around the world. That quiet mechanic was named Rowan Mercer, a widowed single father whose life looked nothing like the glamorous world surrounding the billionaire CEO. Every sunrise began with preparing breakfast for his 8-year-old daughter Ivy before walking her to school and then spending 12 exhausting hours inside a small neighborhood garage that barely earned enough money to survive. His hands were always stained with grease, his boots were worn thin, and his dreams had long been replaced by responsibilities. Ever since losing his wife during a difficult illness several years earlier, Rowan had carried the weight of 2 lives on his shoulders. Every repair he completed paid for school books, groceries, rent, and the tiny birthday surprises that kept a smile on Ivy's face. Although life had stolen almost everything from him, it had never taken away his honesty, patience, or remarkable talent with engines. Unlike many mechanics who depended only on experience, Rowan possessed an extraordinary understanding of machines. Long before tragedy reshaped his life, he had studied automotive engineering at night while working during the day. Financial hardship forced him to leave university before graduation, but he never stopped learning. Every broken engine became another lesson, every impossible repair another puzzle waiting to be solved. Yet no degree ever hung on his garage wall, and nobody outside his small neighborhood knew his name. The news of the CEO's broken Lamborghini spread throughout the city before lunchtime. Television channels replayed her joking promise over and over again. Famous luxury dealerships attempted repairs but failed. Certified technicians connected expensive diagnostic computers but found no clear answer. Every failed attempt increased public curiosity, while Serafina herself slowly became more irritated. The car was not just transportation. It had belonged to her late father, who had spent years restoring it before passing it down to her. Beneath the expensive paint and roaring engine rested memories she could never replace. Late that afternoon, Rowan quietly arrived outside the corporate headquarters after finishing work. Security guards almost turned him away because of his simple clothes and dusty pickup truck, but something about his calm confidence persuaded one of them to inform the CEO's assistant. Minutes later, Serafina looked out from her office window and noticed the ordinary mechanic waiting without arrogance or desperation. Curious more than hopeful, she allowed him one chance. The underground garage smelled of expensive leather and fresh polish as Rowan slowly circled the silent Lamborghini. Unlike the experts before him, he ignored the diagnostic equipment at first. He closed his eyes, listened carefully while the starter motor struggled, gently touched different sections of the engine, and noticed tiny vibrations others had overlooked. Nearly everyone watching assumed he was wasting time. Some executives whispered jokes about small-town mechanics dreaming of marrying billionaires. Almost an hour passed before Rowan quietly removed one hidden panel and discovered an unusual electrical fault caused by microscopic corrosion inside a customized wiring harness. It was so deeply concealed that replacing expensive components would never have solved the real issue. Using simple tools and remarkable precision, he repaired the damaged connection instead of replacing the entire system. When he finally turned the ignition key, the Lamborghini roared back to life with a smooth, powerful growl that echoed through the garage. Silence filled the room. Even the executives who had laughed earlier stood speechless. Serafina stared at the perfectly running engine before looking at the humble mechanic who had just accomplished what world-class specialists could not. For the first time in years, someone had impressed her without asking for recognition or reward. Instead of reminding her about the careless joke, Rowan simply cleaned his hands with an old cloth and prepared to leave. When she asked about payment, he requested only a fair repair fee, refusing the extravagant reward her assistants immediately offered. His quiet dignity surprised her even more than his technical brilliance. Curiosity slowly replaced business formality. Over the following weeks, Serafina found reasons to visit Rowan's small garage. Sometimes another company vehicle supposedly needed inspection. Sometimes she simply wanted advice about restoring classic cars. Gradually she noticed something that money could never purchase. Rowan treated every customer exactly the same, whether they arrived in a luxury sedan or an aging family hatchback. One afternoon Serafina unexpectedly met Ivy after school. The cheerful little girl proudly introduced herself while helping organize tools around the garage. She spoke lovingly about her father, explaining how he packed her lunches into funny animal shapes every morning, attended every school performance despite working long hours, and never forgot bedtime stories, even when he looked exhausted. Listening quietly, Serafina realized she was witnessing a kind of wealth no financial statement could ever measure. Meanwhile, Rowan remained unaware that Serafina had begun investigating his past. She learned about the scholarship he had abandoned to care for his sick wife, the medical debts he continued paying years after her passing, and the countless anonymous acts of generosity he had shown neighbors during difficult times. Not once had he spoken publicly about his sacrifices. Business challenges soon arrived unexpectedly. A powerful competitor launched a campaign to damage Serafina's company by spreading false claims about safety failures. Investors panicked, stock prices dropped, and employees feared massive layoffs. During one stressful evening, Serafina drove the restored Lamborghini alone, searching desperately for clarity. The car carried her toward Rowan's garage almost without conscious thought. There she found him repairing an old delivery van beneath the fading afternoon sunlight. He listened quietly while she described the overwhelming pressure surrounding her company. Instead of offering complicated business strategies, Rowan reminded her that machines and people shared one important truth. Most problems became worse when someone rushed to replace everything instead of patiently discovering the real cause. Those simple words stayed with her. Inspired by his perspective, Serafina ordered a complete internal investigation instead of blaming innocent departments. The truth eventually emerged. A trusted executive had secretly leaked confidential information for personal profit. Exposing the betrayal restored investor confidence and saved thousands of employee jobs. When reporters praised Serafina's leadership, she privately admitted to herself that the wisdom had not originated inside the executive boardroom but inside a modest neighborhood garage. As months passed, genuine friendship slowly blossomed into something deeper. Rowan remained cautious, believing their worlds were simply too different. He feared becoming another headline portraying an ordinary mechanic chasing unimaginable wealth. Serafina understood those fears and deliberately avoided grand romantic gestures. Instead, she spent quiet evenings helping Ivy with homework, attending neighborhood festivals, and discovering happiness far removed from luxury galas. The city eventually noticed the unlikely friendship. Social media exploded with criticism and admiration. Some accused Rowan of seeking fame. Others questioned why a billionaire would spend time with an ordinary widowed father. Yet neither allowed public opinion to dictate private happiness. The greatest challenge arrived when Ivy unexpectedly overheard classmates repeating cruel rumors about her father. She returned home in tears, asking whether rich people could truly love ordinary families. Rowan's heart broke because he had no easy answer. Years of hardship had taught him that society often judged appearances before character. That evening, Serafina quietly arrived carrying no expensive gifts, only homemade soup prepared from her late mother's handwritten recipe. Sitting together at the small kitchen table, she spoke honestly about loneliness hidden behind success. She admitted that endless wealth had attracted admiration but rarely genuine trust. Looking at Rowan and Ivy, she confessed that their tiny home felt warmer than her enormous mansion ever had. Those heartfelt moments changed everything. Months later, Serafina organized a community celebration honoring local workers whose invisible efforts kept the city moving every single day. Teachers, sanitation crews, nurses, bus drivers, construction workers, mechanics, and countless others filled the public square. Standing before thousands, she told the true story behind the Lamborghini without exaggeration or embarrassment. She admitted that her careless joke had revealed an extraordinary human being whose character mattered far more than his profession. Then, instead of another joke, she made a sincere promise. She announced a scholarship fund for hardworking single parents pursuing technical education, naming it after Rowan's late wife so her compassion would continue inspiring future generations. Tears filled Rowan's eyes because someone had transformed his family's painful history into hope for countless strangers. Finally, with cameras recording but hearts focused on something far more important than headlines, Serafina turned toward Rowan. This time there were no sarcastic comments, no playful challenges, and no impossible conditions. She simply thanked him for repairing far more than a luxury sports car. He had repaired her belief that kindness still existed in a world obsessed with status. If this story has touched your heart, please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to Hardworking Dad. Your support helps keep meaningful stories like this alive for everyone who needs a little hope. Glowing star special request: before this story ends, please comment below with the words, "Kindness always wins." Your comment may inspire someone who is silently struggling today. As the sun slowly disappeared beyond the city skyline, the famous Lamborghini rested quietly outside Rowan's little garage, no longer remembered as the car that refused to start, but as the unexpected bridge between two completely different lives. The greatest miracle had never been fixing an impossible engine. It had been proving that genuine love does not search for wealth, titles, or perfection. It quietly finds people whose hearts still know how to care, forgive, sacrifice, and believe in tomorrow. And somewhere beneath that peaceful evening sky, a hardworking single father finally discovered that the greatest reward for a life of quiet integrity was never money at all. It was finding a family that had been waiting for him all along.